So how's it going, fellas? Here we are, broken down, DRZ in the garage. First time this bike, or actually any bike, has ever been towed back to the shop. It's a little embarrassing. Oh, here's my number one fan. This is Solomon, if you guys haven't met him yet. He's my number one fan. He's always here and always wants to know what's going on, and I mean, clearly he's here to check and make sure that the DRZ is done right and proper. So he's probably going to be here supervising. My nephew was down, came from across the country to come for a visit, and he's actually, he owns a bike, but he doesn't know how to ride it yet. So one of the things that I decided that we would do is go out and I would teach him how to ride it, get in there with the clutch and the throttle, and get him out riding. And he was actually pretty successful. One of the big things that happened during our outing was the bike actually stalled, and it wouldn't start. The battery seemed like it had a big load on it. So one of the things that kind of made me a little nervous, but we ended up riding it a little bit anyway, okay? Just because I was sure that my charging system was good and it would just charge the battery, and clearly we just left the bike not running with the lights on, and that's how it happened. Clearly this was not the case in any way, shape, or form. Okay, I do have a problem with the DRZ. So first time, towed to the shop, and started doing some diagnostic. Okay, the battery was completely dead. So overnight I charged the battery, brought the battery back up to the proper charge, fully charged battery. And just so that you guys know, this is also a newer battery. This here was installed, I believe, at the end of last season. So it actually is not very old. What I ended up doing is finding out that the charge system, okay, from the stator to the rectifier to the battery, was, even at higher RPMs, say around 5,000 RPMs, was not charging the battery whatsoever. So, and I'm going to say that there was actually about 12, and it was going down to 11 volts on the battery. It was just not working, and if you turned on some accessory like a blinker or any of that kind of stuff, this thing would have such a draw on it, and the motor was actually running off of the battery. Okay, now, temperamental. So when I unhooked the battery, it did die. I hooked it back up, I did it again, and then all of a sudden it stayed running. Mind you, it was not running great. So I think that may be part of the issue that I had. I checked my fuses, I checked the whole wiring, I disconnected. This here is actually the rectifier right here. Okay, so this plug here comes into the rectifier. I double checked the ohms and everything coming out of the rectifier. Everything from here seems to be going good. One of the things that I did do, though, which I had not done in the past to the DRZ, as you can see, it has the 3x3 mod. It's got the jet kit already done, you know, all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that I did not do was I did not do the free power upgrade. Okay, now when I say free power upgrade, it will not make your bike go any faster. It will not make it accelerate quicker. None of that kind of stuff. All it does is it bypasses your little black box of your DRZ and puts the power charging, bypassing it, and goes directly to the battery. Okay, so instead of having about 13.5 to 13.8 volts going into the battery to charge the battery, now you're going to get about 14 to 14.5 going into the battery, which is actually really good, and it will keep your battery charged. Now, one of the things that I have is I also have an intermittent problem with this. Okay, so just so that you guys know, my stator is working actually intermittently. So it is not pumping out, the stator is not being generous enough at providing power on a consistent basis to charge the battery. So right now it will charge the battery. However, okay, if you jar it around a little bit, and you know, like I've already ordered a new stator. Okay, so I have one of these going in. I'm going to be making a video of the installation of the stator so that you guys can do the upgrade. I've already went ahead and I have upgraded, and I did the Free Power Mod. Okay, which was one of the last things that was on the to-do list, but had not done it yet. So now it is complete, and I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit about this and what I did to get the free power upgrade. So number one is I actually ended up taking the rectifier completely off the bike. And when I took the rectifier off the bike, it allowed me to, number one, go in and just double check everything. Make sure that it was running properly. Now, one of the things that, you know, yes, it has a little chip out of the rectifier, but that's okay. It still runs and operates good. One of the things that you guys should know about the DRZ is that these things are almost bulletproof. Okay, it's usually not going to be your rectifier. With that said, it doesn't mean that it can't be your rectifier. Okay, they do sometimes, they will fault out on you. Okay, but it's not a known problem to the DRZ. Okay, if you have a Gixxer, you're more likely going to run into this problem. Okay, but on this particular, the DRZ, these things are almost bulletproof, and very rarely do they fail. Okay, with that said, if you guys own a DRZ, there is a Loctite mod or upgrade or whatever you want to call it inside here that they all recommend that you do, and that's Loctite the screws down. Now, this one here was already done. Okay, so that part has been done. I am waiting for the new one to come in so that I can pull the old one, and if I have to change it, it can get done in one swap, one do. I'm going to videotape the whole thing just so that you guys all know what I did and how I did it. Okay, just in case you ever run into this problem, you now have a video that you can actually just go ahead and check out. Okay, so with this, you've got two wires, okay, basically that run from your rectifier. You've got a bank of three. These are these guys here. Okay, so this here would tell you that it's a three-phase stator. Okay, just because it's got the three wires, and these ones are all yellow, and this here is going to get all replaced. Okay, now this is actually the wire. Okay, it goes, and if you can follow it, okay, it goes right into your black box. Okay, so I've went ahead and clearly this is all proper. I will be getting a brand new one of these when I get the new stator. Okay, and then I had this guy right here. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that very well or not, but I went ahead and I just cut that right off. Okay, cut it off, and it was going and splicing into another piece. Not a problem. I did save that other piece, and what I did is I spliced in the ground and the positive. Okay, directly in. Make sure that you solder. I have an inline fuse, which is a 20 amp. I ran the wire right through. I don't know if you guys can see that. I had a little opening there, and what you're trying to do is get the shortest distance from the fuse to the battery, to the positive battery terminal. Okay, so I ran the inline fuse, and I made sure that the inline fuse that I was using had at least a 12 gauge wire. Okay, one of the big things that I see on these kinds of things is people putting in a nice 20 amp fuse or something and then using a 16 gauge wire. Well, your wire now turns into the fuse, and your fuse turns, it won't do anything. Okay, so make sure that you have an adequate amount. 12 is going to be plenty thick, plenty strong. And then I ran it and sealed all of the connectors. I'm going to go through that with you here in a second, and ran the negative right to the battery. Okay, so now from the rectifier, it's taking all of that juice that the stator is producing, and it is bypassing the computer altogether, and it is just dumping it directly to the battery. Okay, and it's called the Free Power Mod. Great mod to do. If you haven't done it, I would recommend it. Whether you're having issues or you're not, it's just going to make your charging system work that much better. Okay, so with that said, let's go over to the workbench. I'm going to show you, the only thing that I can't show you is going to be the actual inline fuse. Okay, you can get these in the smaller version. I just happened to pick up one that was a large version, 20 amp inline fuse. Okay. So here we are on the workbench, and what I did is, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I got the quarter inch ring terminals. Okay, and these here are going to be perfect size for the battery that you're using. I have some. This is 12 gauge wire, and this here is actually 10 gauge. You can see it's quite a bit bigger. The only reason why I use this is because this is what I had. If I would have had both of them 10 gauge, I would have used both 10 gauge. If both of them would have been 12 gauge, I probably would have used 12 gauge on both. Okay, so just to let you guys know what it is that I did on this, and then I had the inline fuse. One of the things that I just want to say about it is that when you're actually using the eyelet, okay, and you've went ahead and you've inserted it inside, okay, you've stripped your wire, you've inserted that inside, you've crimped it. The only thing that I did differently was I made sure that I went ahead and I put some solder in there just to make sure. You don't have to. I just felt it a little bit better. The other thing is I have a little, one of these little kit things or whatever with shrink wrap. Okay, so in some of these I used a double shrink wrap. So where the two wires come together, okay, each wire has its individual shrink wrap, and then I used a nice fat one to do both over top. Okay, and then this way I knew that I was going to have both wires nice and insulated and waterproof. Okay, so just to let you guys know, a little thing that I did use quite a bit more of the of these. Okay, other than that, we'll go back and you can see, well, I went right over top with the shrink wrap on both of them. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but just to make sure that I had a good strong connection, bolted it down, positive runs through the inline fuse up underneath, and this is where I went ahead and I connected the inline fuse to the wire, and again trying to do the shortest route possible right to the rectifier. Okay, now if you take a look here, this part is actually all factory. Mine starts above, and as you can see, each wire is insulated. If you guys can see that or not, but each wire is insulated. And then what I did is I went ahead and I put another shrink wrap tube over top just so that I could get the whole thing. So there you have it. That is the free power mod. Look forward to another video. I will be changing out this stator. It's on order. I should have it this week, and I should be able to pump out that video hopefully next weekend on this. Okay? Thanks for watching, guys.